Hello and welcome back to another flute tip of the week. I'm still getting over a bit of a throat virus that I got from the pit orchestra I was in, moments when opera becomes petri dish music. But I am finally on the mend and I can talk a little bit longer without, completely becoming mute. I know that not all of my fluties out there are at the level where you can use all of my tips. Some of you are just brand new to the flute. So I'm dedicating this week's video to our inaugural flutes. Now let's learn how to make a sound. Don't be discouraged if you can't make a sound right away. It's all about patience and how you approach it. With the flute, what's really important to remember is that about 80% of your air doesn't even go into the instrument. It is the only instrument where the majority of what you use for sound production doesn't even contact the instrument. So instead of having a reed like with the clarinet or a mouthpiece like with the trombone, we have to blow across the top of our head joint. A good way to practice this without the flute is if you have an empty water or pop bottle and you just blow across the top. I'm surprised that it's not as common over in the UK to do this as it is in North America, because in North America, basically every kid is like, oh, I've done that before. But for any of you who haven't seen that before, it's just doing this. So if you already know how to do that, you've got an excellent start. This also means that if you don't have a flute yet and you're just about to go and get one, you can actually start practicing making a sound without the head joint at all. So when you're using a bottle to make a sound, what you're going to be doing is obviously having it open. Try to drink enough of what's inside so that it's not all the way at the top. Otherwise, there isn't enough space for the air to revolve inside of the bottle and to produce a tone. Then what you're going to do is you're going to feel where the edge of the opening is. And you're going to put that right underneath your bottom lip. And then what you do is you aim a little bit down, but angled. So instead of trying to blow directly into the bottle or directly across, you're kind of going to go on an angle like that. Also, you want to make sure that you don't have your lips too much like you're about to blow into a circle. You don't want to make a fish face, and you want to have enough tension in your lips that it's not going to be affected by the air going through, but without pulling all the way back. So have your lips pretty much as they naturally are, and use the corners of your mouth to kind of anchor so that your mouth won't be moving once you actually make the air go through. We've talked about how to practice it on the bottle. Now let's look at it with the head joint. First off, in case you don't already know this, you're going to be having it so that the closed end of your head joint is on your left side and the end of it points over to your right. So you're going to be having the large portion of the lip plate against your chin. Much the same as with the bottle, you are going to be trying to feel the edge of this hole against your bottom lip. So when you're doing this, you don't want to have it on your lip. You're going to be placing it on this little dip that's between your chin and your bottom lip. You can call this your facial flute shelf. And when you have it on your chin, try to feel where your lip contacts the edge of this hole. You want to have it pretty much centered in your lips, but at the same time, it can be difficult at first to be able to really sense where that hole is and where the edge of the metal is. So another way to do this while you're still getting used to where to put the head joint on your face is to have it so that the hole goes straight against your lip, kind of on the middle of your bottom lip, and then roll it down. And just do that a few times until it feels a bit more comfortable. And then try just bringing it up to your lip without having to roll it down. So when you do roll it, think about where you can feel the edge of this hole here, and then try to recreate that when you just put the head joint up without rolling it out. Another important thing to remember when you're on the head joint as opposed to the pop bottle is that you're going to be covering about a third of this hole with your bottom lip. In a previous video, I talked about a water faucet. When you're messing around with the tap for a water fountain or anything, you're going to be having the gap in the faucet where all the water comes out. And you take your thumb and you test out how much you can cover until you can aim the water directly where you want it to go. If you have too much space, then you're not able to control the stream into a specific direction. If you cover too much of it, then it makes it difficult for the water to get out, and because it's going at the same speed, it just starts to splash everywhere. It's the same logic with how far you are covering your head joint. If you cover too much of it, there's not enough space for the air to be able to get in. But if you don't cover enough of it, then it's difficult to be able to produce a focused sound because there's just too much space for it to move in. So this is what it sounds like when it's too covered. This is what it sounds like when it's too open. And now we want the Goldilocks, so where it's just right. So again, that is 1/3 of the hole covered. Another thing to think about when you're producing the sound is the shape of your lips and the shape of the hole between them. Embouchure is the shape of your mouth, and the aperture is the hole which the air goes through. For the aperture of the space of your lips, you want to imagine it almost like a camera lens, where it gets a little bit larger or smaller as like a little circle, but you want it to be more of an oval. So instead of having your embouchure or your lips in this shape, as if you're blowing through a tube, you want to have it so that it is similar to your resting face. So for me, it's this. But you pull the corners of your lips back slightly, not enough to make a smile, but just enough to be able to have, like I said before, an anchor for your lips. And then you're going to be parting in between your lips enough so that you can get a steady stream of air through it. So just there. Now, when you put up the head joint and you're just blowing straight across, it's not going to be very easy to make a clear sound. So this is where you start to think about where you're aiming your air. And for this, you normally use either moving your bottom jaw forward to aim the air up, or bringing your top lip forward to aim it more down. So when you're working on making a sound with your head joint, let's say you're standing about 5 feet from the wall. You want to aim your air so that it's getting to the corner where the wall meets the floor. So if this is you, you want your air to be kind of going like this. Another way to make sure you're aiming that way is to put your hand down here and aim for your hand. It's also good to move your hand around so you can control the direction of your air and always aim for your target. When you take your breath, you need to breathe into your stomach so that instead of just filling up your lungs up here, you've got all the length of your torso to breathe. And when you're finally blowing out your air, you're going to support from your stomach, so support using your abdominal muscles, and blow cool air. So not slow air as if you're about to fog up a mirror to write a note on it, but not quite so cold that you're trying to cool something off. You want to have it so that the air is slightly warm, and so this will help open your throat a bit and get to about a medium speed. So not blowing so fast that you lose all your air right away, or so slow that you could basically be writing messages on the metal of your flute. This is too much air, and this is too little air. You want to have it at a medium speed in between those two. When you do finally have a sound and you're getting more confident in making it, instead of right away jumping to putting the whole flute together, what you should do are some small exercises just to have a little bit more fun. Not using any articulation yet, not using the tongue to clean up the beginning of it, just getting used to making a sound and having more fun with it. So you can make a kind of calling sound where you just cover and uncover the end of the flute. Or you can use your fingers and go in and out of the head joint so that you can slowly change the pitch, kind of like a slide whistle. Try try doing call and response with a friend so that they might be going, wow, wow, and just get used to having fun with it and getting a more comfortable and consistent sound. And this is all work you need to do before you ever put the flute together. So again, that tip was don't be discouraged if you can't make a sound right away. It's all about patience and how you approach it. I hope you find this week's tip helpful. I'll see you all next week. Flute happy, sound happy, and hydrate happy. So even just a few days ago, I really couldn't talk, but my voice was sounding awful and hilarious. And I recorded myself trying to sing the song Stand By Me and sent it to my mom. Here is that recording in all of its gloriousness.
So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Darling, won't you stand by me.
I have no words.